For a long time, I had a really unhealthy relationship with food. I saw everything in black and white. I believed that the less that I ate, the more I would succeed, or the quicker that I would succeed. And I fell into this trap. One of the biggest influences on this mindset was diet culture. I was depriving myself of energy. I was depriving myself of joy and mental peace. When I started to realize that food was not my enemy, and it was something that I could use to fuel my body, everything shifted. Welcome to Strong as a Mother podcast, a podcast that empowers moms to choose themselves and leave the mom guilt behind so they can step into the most confident versions of themselves. We are saying goodbye to the back burner and hello to strength and nourishment and self-acceptance. I'm Miranda, fitness coach and mom of two. Join me for lighthearted chats and practical tips and resources that you can integrate in your life as a busy mom. Welcome back to another episode of Strong as a Mother podcast. I'm so amped you guys are here. I'm diving into a topic that has completely transformed my life, not just my physical body, but it's shifted my relationship with food and the relationship that I have with myself. I know for so many of us women that food can be somewhat of a battleground. It's something we've most likely all struggled with. Food is something that a lot of people struggle with, whether it's using it as a reward, as punishment, or being even something that we fear sometimes. But today I wanted to kind of share with you how I stopped viewing food as the enemy and started viewing food as fuel to get stronger, but not just physically, mentally, and emotionally as well. I wanted to start off just by telling you guys a quick story about something that was my awakening a few years ago. I was so focused on pushing myself in the gym. I thought if I just worked harder, if I just continue to push through, I definitely achieved the results that I wanted to achieve. And I would hit the gym day after day, giving 110% in every session. But after one particularly tough workout, I found myself literally sitting in my car trembling after I was done training. I literally had no energy for the rest of the day. And I couldn't understand why I was working so hard, but I felt so terrible. I was exhausted all the time, not just physically, but mentally as well. And that's when it really hit me. I was neglecting one of the most important aspects of my health, and that was my nutrition. That moment was a huge turning point for me, and I had been treating food as the enemy. It was something that I had to control, that I had to be fearful of. I wasn't nourishing my body, I was literally starving it. And this realization kind of led me down that path to change. And it really changed how I started to view food. So today I wanted to share a little bit about my personal journey and how I went from struggling with food to using it as fuel. But I also want to give you some practical tips that work for me, especially as a busy mom, and how incorporating some mindfulness into my nutrition and into my routine helped me create a much more balanced life. For a long time, I had a really unhealthy relationship with food. I saw everything in black and white. Foods were either good or bad, and there was no middle ground. I'd cut out entire food groups, and I was convinced that doing so would make me healthier and it would help me lose weight faster. And I believed that the less that I ate, the more I would succeed, or the quicker that I would succeed. And I fell into this trap that so many of us do. And that was chasing the latest quick fix diet, thinking if I could just eat less, I'd finally hit my goals. But the reality was it just led me into this vicious cycle. I would restrict my food intake, trying to be good for as long as I could, but eventually those cravings would kick in and I'd end up binging. And then after that, the guilt was obviously overwhelming, and I'd feel like a failure for not being able to stick to this silly diet that I was on again, and the cycle would just start over. And I was constantly at war with myself, trying to control food, but always feeling like it was controlling me. One of the biggest influences on this mindset was diet culture. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those messages that we're constantly bombarded with on social media and magazines. even from friends and family. The idea that we need to shrink ourselves in order to be worthy and that smaller is somewhat better. I remember scrolling through Instagram and seeing like influencers post about their restrictive diets or clean eating routines or their what I eat in a days, and feeling like if I didn't eat that way, that I was maybe doing something wrong or that I wouldn't be successful. But here's the thing. I wasn't just depriving myself of calories. I was depriving myself of energy. I was depriving myself of joy and mental peace. And it wasn't until I made that shift from weight loss to focusing on getting stronger that everything changed. It was not an easy transition by any means. And it definitely didn't happen overnight. But when I started to realize that food was not my enemy and it was something that I could use to fuel my body, everything shifted. And suddenly I wasn't eating less to weigh less. I was eating more to feel stronger, to have more energy, to improve my workouts. My focus changed from deprivation to nourishment, and that literally changed everything. Not just my physical health, but my mindset. I realized that strength was not just about lifting weights. It was about building resilience in all areas of my life, physically, mentally, emotionally. And food is a part of that strength. It's incredible how empowering it feels when you stop thinking about food as the enemy and you start to use it to actually nourish your body. That mindset was a total game changer for me. And it opened up this whole new world of possibilities for my health and my overall well-being. I remember when I walked back into the gym for the first time with this whole different goal in mind. Instead of thinking, oh, how many calories can I burn today? How much cardio do I have to do to burn so many calories? I thought, I wonder what I could lift today. I wonder how strong I am. And that simple mindset shift is so incredibly powerful. It made me realize that my body was capable of so many amazing things, but only if I gave it the love that it deserved. And also love in the form of food. It needed fuel to perform its best. And when I started to eat to nourish my body, and instead of always trying to deprive it and starve it, everything improved. Workouts got better. I had more energy. I could move throughout a day with ease. I wasn't constantly tired and cranky. And perhaps the most important thing of it all is my mental health improved. I was no longer feeling like I was at war with food, at war with my body. I started to enjoy eating again. I started to enjoy foods that I loved. I wasn't afraid of food anymore, and I embraced it. If you have ever felt trapped in this cycle of dieting, I want you to actually pause for a second, and I want you to ask yourself, what would it look like if I started to eat to fuel my body instead of always depriving it? Literally take a moment and think about that and write it down in a journal or take some time to journal it out, because a lot of us have been dieting our entire lives. Now, let's get into the practical side of things, because let's face it, theory is great, but we need real world solutions that fit into our chaotic, busy lives as moms. And if you're anything like me, juggling family, work, a million and one other responsibilities, it can feel so overwhelming to think about eating, right? But over time, I've just have some strategies that have helped me stay on track that I want to share with you to hopefully help you stay on track with your fitness journey as well. So obviously, you guys, we need to meal prep, okay? I know it sounds daunting and it sounds just like another task that you need to do, especially if you're picturing like hours in the kitchen, 2,100 Tupperware containers, but it doesn't have to be complicated. What I do is super simple. On Sundays, I spend a couple hours preparing the basics. I prep ingredients, not meals. So I'm not making some fancy meals that I find online. Sometimes I do, but I prep ingredients. So I'll prep some lean proteins like chicken or turkey, lots of veggies. I'll roast a big batch of vegetables and cook a bunch of protein and veggies that I can mix and match throughout the week. This means during the week when things are hectic, I'm not scrambling to figure out what to eat. I can throw together a stir fry, a salad, a quick wrap with any ingredients that I have on hand that are prepped. And this has been a total game changer. So don't think that you have to prep all these fancy meals. Prep ingredients. Prep some protein, prep some veggies, heck, even prep some carb sources. Speaking of protein is absolutely essential, and we need to make sure that we are prioritizing protein, especially if we're wanting to build a little bit of muscle, which we will get to in another episode. Protein is essential, and it's going to help maintain your energy. It's going to help keep you full longer, but it's not just about eating like a ton of meat. I've learned to get creative with protein sources. Like aside from, chicken and fish, I'm not even a big fish person. I also incorporate plant-based proteins. So things like lentils, beans, tofu. I always get snacks like Greek yogurt, boiled eggs, turkey pepperonis, beef jerky, protein bars, and protein shakes for when I'm on the go and I need to have some high protein snacks. Prioritizing protein is not just going to keep you full, but it also will help you recover better from the gym and help you maintain your energy throughout the day. So we talked about meal prepping and prepping ingredients, but also just like simplifying the heck out of your meals too, right? Like this one was a big one for me. As a busy mom, like we don't need complicated, right? So I used to feel like I needed to make these elaborate meals, like these crazy meal preps, to stay on track and to get the best results with my nutrition. But the truth is, simple meals are best because they're what I could be consistent with. And they're just as effective and a lot less stressful. And as moms, we need as little stress as possible. Some of my go-to meals are literally like a lean protein source, veggie, stir fry kind of thing, whole grain wraps. I love air fryer chicken fingers, turkey burgers, things like that. These meals are balanced, they're satisfying, they're delicious, and they're easy. When it comes to seeing progress on a fitness journey, we do need to make sure that we are accountable to the foods that we're putting in our mouths. And that means that it is ideal to keep track of it in some way. I personally track my food in an app. This helps me be accountable with what I'm eating, the foods that I'm putting into my body, and helps me be accountable of the types of food that I'm eating as well. There was a time when I used to obsess over counting every calorie and being super meticulous, and I was always flying by the seat of my pants, and I wasn't able to stay consistent with it. But now I just do like flexible tracking. I set my day up the morning of, and I track my food the morning of for the day. So it's kind of set and forget. It's done. I just got to show up and follow the plan. Now I'm not stressing over meeting numbers at the end of the night, making things balance. I literally am doing all the balancing first thing and pre-tracking everything, and that's how I keep my numbers consistent. Next, you want to make sure that you're drinking lots of water. So obviously, hydration is important for anybody. We all should be drinking lots of water, but this is a very overlooked aspect, and staying hydrated is super important, not just for energy, but controlling our cravings too, right? So I carry a bottle with me wherever we go. I just make sure that I'm sipping on it throughout the day. And if you're someone who struggles with cravings, especially sweets or salty snacks, start by checking your water intake and checking how much water you drank that day, because sometimes we can mistake thirst for hunger. Obviously, as moms, we're always on the go. We're trying to juggle a million things. We might have birthday parties, get-togethers. So let's be real, social events, things like barbecues, family gatherings, they can be challenging, especially when you're trying to stay on track with your nutrition. So instead of, stressing about it, trying to be perfect, like learn to plan ahead. This is a game changer. If you know you're going to go to a barbecue, bring some healthy snacks with you. If it's a potluck, bring a macro-friendly meal or something that works for you. So at least you have something there that works for you. Things like fruits, veggies, try to make it a balanced kind of thing. Another thing that you could do is make sure you have a balanced meal ahead of time so you're not going there ravenous or super hungry by the time you get there, so you can kind of like have a little bit more control and don't feel like you have to overindulge. But also at the end of the day, make sure you're giving yourself grace, because we should be able to enjoy in family get-togethers and, social events without stressing over food. I always say memories over macros. Obviously, there's a time and a place. You can't always make every event about this, but, prioritizing the important ones and making sure that you are being present with your family and friends is so important. And lastly, involve the family. If you're a mom, involving the kids in your meal prep is exciting, and it teaches them about food quality, and it can make them excited to try new things. So not only is it going to give you a little hand in the kitchen, but it teaches them as well. It can be a fun family activity. And I find that when my kids are involved in the process, they're much more likely to eat healthier because they prepared it. And it's something that we prepared together. I would love to know what your biggest struggle is when it comes to maintaining a balanced diet with a family. Is it time? Is it picky eaters? Is it something else? I'd love to also hear what works for you, or what you're struggling with right now. So feel free to share with me, and I would love to answer any questions that you have on the podcast. Along with these practical tips, I wanted to also talk about a concept that has been a game changer for me. And this is something that is important for everybody, and that's mindfulness. Mindfulness has really improved my relationship with food, and it's had a huge impact on my overall approach to fitness and nutrition in general. We live in a society or a world that's go, 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 go. It's easy to fall into this habit of eating on autopilot, grabbing what's convenient, scarfing it down while we're multitasking. But when I started practicing mindfulness and mindful eating, I really realized how much I had been missing. Mindful eating is about slowing down. It's about savoring every bite, paying attention to how food makes you feel. It's not about counting calories or tracking every nutrient. It's about being present in the moment and really listening to your body. And when I started practicing mindful eating, I really noticed this shift in how I was approaching food. And it was no longer eating out of boredom or, out of stress or habit. And instead, I was paying attention to my hunger and fullness cues when I was eating. And I was eating when I was truly hungry, and I was stopping when I was feeling satisfied. And let me tell you, that was a game changer for me. I no longer felt this need to restrict myself because I knew that I could trust my body to tell me when it had enough or when I needed something. Another really important part to mindfulness for me had me understanding my emotional triggers as well. So in the past, every time I felt stressed or overwhelmed or anxious, I would reach for comfort foods, chocolate, chips, cookies, you name it. And it was my way of coping with stress. But through mindfulness, I was able to become more aware of those emotional triggers. And instead of automatically reaching for food when I was stressed, I learned to pause and ask myself, what do I really need right now? Sometimes it's a break. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's just stopping and taking a few deep breaths. But understanding those emotional triggers, I have been able to really reduce stress eating and feel a lot more control and feel like I'm in a more control with my choices. And a part of that was also incorporating or practicing gratitude for food. Before each meal, I take a moment to just be thankful for the nourishment that I'm about to give my body. And this small practice really shifted my mindset from guilt to gratitude. And I used to feel guilty for eating certain foods, but now I am focused on how the food is helping me grow stronger, be a better athlete, be healthier, and have more energy. So I really challenge you to give this a shot and practice mindful eating during your next meal. Slow down, savor each bite, and really tune into how your body feels. And let me know how it goes. Mindfulness doesn't just stop with food, though. this is something that has impacted my entire life, especially as a mom. One of the biggest lessons that I learned is the importance of creating space for myself. As moms, we are so focused of taking care of everybody else. But what I've realized is we can't pour from an empty cup. We need time to recharge and reset. And incorporating mindfulness allowed me to do just that. For me, it was about finding those intentional pauses in my day, whether that was 5 minutes of deep breathing in the morning before work or a few moments of sitting in my car in pure quiet while I was waiting in school pickup. Just taking a quick or doing a quick meditation before bed. These things really helped, and these small breaks kind of helped me allowed me to reset mentally and avoid burnout. And trust me, it made a world of a difference. Mindfulness also helped me be a lot more present with my family. I used to feel like I was always distracted, like I was thinking about this long list of things that I had to do. I was worrying about what needed to get done next. But mindfulness helped me to kind of slow down and really focus on being present in the moment that I'm in. And when I'm with my kids, I'm really with them. I'm being present with them, and I'm much more patient, I'm much more engaged, and I'm much more connected. So it's a really great way to model healthy habits for your kids. And for me, I really want my kids to see that taking care of your mind and your body is a very, very important thing to do. And it helps you show up as your best self. One of the biggest benefits from mindfulness has really been strengthening my mind body connection. I've learned to really tune into what my body needs, whether that was more rest, more movement, more balanced meals, instead of ignoring the signals that my body was giving me. And I've learned to honor them. And if I'm feeling tired, I give myself permission to rest. If I'm feeling sluggish, I might do a quick workout and get my energy up. It's all about listening to what your body needs in the moment. And perhaps the most important lesson that I've learned is self-compassion. And not every day is going to be perfect, especially as a mom. And that's okay. And I used to beat myself up for every little mistake, for, missing a workout, for maybe eating something that wasn't healthy, or not being the perfect mom. But mindfulness really helped me let go of that need for perfection and learn to approach setbacks with grace, forgiveness, and not so much self-criticism. It really is about progress, not perfection. And that mindset has made everything feels so much more sustainable and enjoyable. Mindfulness has completely changed how I show up as a mom, and it's given me more patience, energy, it allows me to focus on what really matters. And I used to really feel like I was constantly running on empty, trying to, be everything to everybody, but not taking care of myself in the process. And mindfulness really taught me that it's okay to slow down, it's okay to take a break. And by not doing that, I'm actually showing up as a better version of myself, not just for me, but for my family too. I also noticed that mindfulness helps me stay a lot more calm and centered, during those chaotic moments that seem to pop up. Still, we all, as moms, know all too well what that is. Maybe kids throwing a tantrum, the house is a mess, you're juggling extracurricular activities, trying to be a million places at once, when everything just feels overwhelming. And I've learned to just take a deep breath, pause a second, and respond calmly. This made a huge difference in how I handle stress and stressful situations, and it's helped me create a much more peaceful environment in my home and for my family. But perhaps the most rewarding thing that mindfulness has given me is it's allowed me to model healthy habits for my children. I want them to see that it is okay to take care of yourself and prioritize yourself. Self-care isn't selfish, it's absolutely necessary. And whether it's involving them in a quick breathing exercise, it's, showing them how I respond to things when things are stressful, or practicing mindful eating together. We talk about food labels, we talk about fruits and vegetables and different kinds of nutrients. Getting together and eating family meals together, cooking together, I'm teaching them skills that can be carried with them for the rest of their lives. And that makes me super proud as a mom. So like if you're a mom listening to this, like I encourage you to just start small. Don't think you have to overhaul everything at once. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to overhaul your entire routine overnight. That's not sustainable. Just try to find a few moments in your day to practice some mindfulness, whether that's taking a few deep breaths, when things are hectic or busy, a few minutes of journaling every night. That can be really nice. A moment of gratitude before a meal. These small shifts can have a really big impact on your overall well-being, and your ability to really show up for your family. Before we wrap up, I do want to leave you with a few mindfulness practices that you can integrate. You can literally start implementing these things today. These are super simple. They are going to make a huge difference in, how you're feeling. I know they made a huge difference in my life, so I hope that it would do the same for you. Mindful breathing. We talked about taking a few mindful breaths. Like this can be 2 to 5 minutes where you can just take a little bit of time to re-stress, during a stressful moment. All you need to do is find a quiet space, close your eyes, focus on your breath. I like to literally tune in or focus in on where I feel my breath like going in and out of my nose, like just above my lip here. And I just try to really focus on that to keep me present and like focusing on my breathing. So focus on your breath, inhale deeply through your nose and count to 4. This is called box breathing, by the way. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4, and then hold for 4, and then inhale again for 4. And you want to do this or repeat this, a few minutes, and just notice how you start to feel in your body. Notice how it relaxes you. You can literally do this anywhere. You can do it at work. You can do it at home. You can do it in the car. This is just called box breathing. It's a really good way to control your breath. Mindful eating is the next thing is, just during your next meal, even try slowing down, pay attention to every bite that you're having, notice the flavors, notice the textures, really pay attention to how your body feels. This simple practice can really help you, tune into your hunger and fullness cues, making it a much more enjoyable experience, and it'll help you be a lot more intentional with your eating experience as well. Next is doing a body scan. So this can be like 5 to 10 minutes long, nothing crazy. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes, slowly scan your body from head to toe. Really just paying attention to areas of tension in your body, or any discomfort that you might be experiencing, and try to breathe into those areas, that mind-muscle connection, releasing any stress or discomfort as you exhale. This is a really good practice to do before bed to kind of help you unwind. Next is journaling. I've talked about this a couple times. I talked about it on the previous episode, but I wanted to also talk about it today because I think that this one is very underlooked, and that's gratitude journaling specifically. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as a good meal. It can be, a moment of laughter with your children. It can be, just getting through your day. I know I've had a few of those days, right? Where you're just happy it's over and you made it through. Gratitude journaling is a powerful way for you to shift your focus from, maybe something, maybe not the best day, to something more positive, and look for the good in every day. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to become. And I always say that it helps you kind of like prime your mind for the positive. The more you practice gratitude, the more good you're going to see, and the more positive experiences you're going to have. And then lastly is practicing mindfulness or mindful moments with your kids. So involve your kids in mindfulness practices. This is so good for them. Whether it's, doing a breathing exercise together, practicing mindful eating together at the table, whatever it is, it's a great way to bond with each other, and it's teaches your kids valuable skills that they can take with them throughout their lives. So pick one of these practices and try it out today. Implement it immediately. Don't think you have to do everything all at once. That's not sustainable. That's not realistic. Pick one, try it, and try it with your family, and see if it makes any difference for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly hope that you found some inspiration in this episode, and you took away some practical tips that you can apply on your own journey. Just remember that fueling strength is so much more than the food that you eat. It is about your mindset. It is about your habits. It's the way you approach each day. Whether it's through balanced nutrition, mindfulness, giving yourself grace, it's all part of the bigger picture of long-term health and wellness. And don't forget that it is not about perfection. Okay? It is about progress. You do not have to have it all figured out right away, right? This takes practice. We got to just keep showing up, focusing on getting 1% better every single day. It's just one small step at a time, and celebrate every win you experience along the way. There's no such thing as a small win, in my opinion. If you ever have any questions or you want to share your own experiences or struggles, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out anytime with any messages that you have. Let's keep this conversation going and continue this journey to strength and balance and self-acceptance. Until next time, keep fueling your strength, practicing that mindfulness, and don't forget to be kind to yourself.